These are just some of the 30 books that I want to read before I turn 30. So a couple of years ago I did a 25 books that I want to read before I turn 25 kind of challenge video, and I failed fairly miserably, partly because I gave myself just under 2 years or so, and then about a year before I turned 25 I had a baby and stopped reading for about a year, so it didn't help. I failed quite miserably with that challenge. So we are trying again, giving myself a lot more time. So I am currently 25, so I have about nearly 5 years to complete this stack of books, plus the ones that aren't here, to complete 30 books. So these are books that I'm excited for, that I've been looking forward to reading, that maybe I've had on my TBR for a long time. Books that I just really want to make sure I have read by the time I'm 30, because if any of these are still on my TBR when I'm 30, I'll be quite disappointed, I think, because I really should just read them. It includes a real mix of Christian books, of non-fiction, of historical fiction. We've got some sci-fi, we've got mystery and thrillers, we've got translated fiction, a real mix of everything. And this year I did also do a blog post of the 23 books that I want to read in 2023. So I've tried not to include too many of those on this list. So if you want to see that list, I'll link that blog post down in the description. And as there are 30 books to talk about, I'm going to try and not talk about them for very long at all. So I will link all of them down in the description if you'd like to find out more or buy them for yourselves. But we're just going to give a whistle-stop tour of these books, and then when I turn 30, we'll look back and see if I've achieved this challenge. And before we get started, let me know down in the comments what books are you most excited to read at the moment. So let's start with number 1, M is for Mama by Abby Halberstadt, and this is the first of many books that are from people that I follow on Instagram and have discovered through Instagram. This is a Christian non-fiction about parenting from a mother of 10, biblical rebellion against mediocre motherhood. Number 2 is the Thursday Murder Club series, so I have read 3 of these and loved them, and there are more coming. I don't know quite how many more, but by the time I reach 30 I want to be up to date with this series as much as possible. Number 3 is Kindred by Octavia Butler, so this is a sci-fi that sees a woman time travel and kind of experience part of slavery in America. Book number 4 is How to Hear God by Pete Greig, and this is a follow-up to kind of How to Pray, but focusing on listening to God and hearing God. Book 5 is The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa, and this is translated from Japanese, and it partly follows the perspective of a cat, which is intriguing. Book 6 is 52 Ways to Walk by Annabelle Streets, and this is a kind of journey through the year exploring different ways to walk, different places to walk, different people to walk with, different ways of walking and the benefits that you can get from walking. Book 7, We Died Before We Came Here by Emily Foreman. This is a true story about Christian missionaries when Emily's husband is killed by Al-Qaeda. Book 8, The Midnight Library by Matt Hague, which many people have read and loved, and it kind of explores the different ways that our lives could have turned out and mental health and lots of topics around that. Book 9 is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and this is just something that I feel like I should have read by now. This is like the only classic I think on this list, but I just feel like I should have read it. I really don't know that much about it, apart from the stuff that everyone knows, that it's about 4 girls. But we'll see. Book 10 is Every Woman a Theologian by Felicia Masonheimer, which came out very recently, I believe, and I loved her previous book, but this book is a non-fiction about the importance of theology and knowing what we believe. Book 11 is the Beartown series, so this is a trilogy with Beartown, Us Against You, and The Winners, which has come out recently, and this is set in Sweden and kind of follows a town when a big incident kind of divides the town's opinion. Book 12 is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham, and this is about a girl who previously her dad had been arrested for being a serial killer, and now something similar is starting to happen where she's living, and she's not sure if it's kind of a copycat or he wasn't the one that actually did it or what's going on. Book 13 is Well Said by Sarah Molitor, and this is one I only kind of heard about very recently, but Sarah is someone else that I follow on Instagram and really love reading her posts on there. And this is all about kind of the importance of our words and the impact that our words can have, whether we use them for good or bad. Book 14 is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, And this follows the lives of two women in Afghanistan and about how their lives kind of interact and intertwine and the bonds that they form. And I love The Kite Runner, so I'm intrigued to see what this one is like. Book 15 is The Girl Who Smiled Beads by Clementine Wamaria, and this is the true story about a young girl who fled from the Rwandan genocide and ended up coming to America, and all about her experience in her life. Book 16 is The Marriage Book by Nikki and Scylla Lee, and this is the couple who ran the pre-marriage course and marriage course that we've done and really enjoyed. So sometime over the next 5 years, I would love to kind of go through this again, refresh kind of my knowledge and explore some of these topics again, because I'm sure it will cover some of the things that we covered in those courses. Book 17 is Cololu Hill by Nima Shah, and this is set in Uganda in 1972 and follows the experience of Ugandan Asians when they're told to leave the country really quite suddenly. And it follows a family and their different experiences of this and of coming to Britain. Book 18 is Are Women on the Ground, which is edited by Zara Hankir, and this is a collection of essays that's written by Arab women about events going on in the Arab world and about kind of how they report on those events in the Arab world. So it's kind of taking away the Western lens that we apply when our media is covering events in the Arab world. Book 19 is P.S. It's Gonna Be Good by Heidi Lee Anderson, and this again is someone that I follow on Instagram and really love learning from, and she's hilarious, and I think this is going to be a really interesting book, and I believe it tackles different questions that we might have and fears that we might have as we go about our lives, and it tackles them all from a biblical perspective and looking at different characters in the Bible and how they face challenges in their lives. And I will link all of these people that I'm talking about that I follow on Instagram, I will link their Instagrams down below as well if you're interested in finding out more about them. Book 20 is Without a Country by Asa Kulin, and this is translated from Turkish and follows the experience of German Jews who flee to Turkey when Hitler's taking power in Germany, and about their experience and the experience of their descendants, and about how kind of anti-Semitism ends up following them to Turkey and their experience of that several generations later. Number 21 is The Wake Up Call by Beth O'Leary, and I have read all of Beth O'Leary's other books apart from The No Show so far and really enjoyed them. So this one comes out in September 2023, and I believe it's kind of an enemies to lovers type book based in a hotel setting. Book 22 is Confessions of a Crappy Christian by Blake Goucher, and this is another Instagram follow. Can you see a theme here? And this is a book for when you feel like not that great of a Christian, like not a perfect Christian. And it talks about things like mental health and rest and friendships and healing and loads more topics too. Book 23 is the Tales from the Cafe series, which started with Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I have the first two, so far I've only read the first one, so I still need to read book 2. And then I believe there are currently 4 books, 3 of which have been translated to English. So these are translated from Japanese, and the first one I know was originally written as a play. I'm not sure about the later ones, but the first one definitely was. And these follow a kind of a cafe where you can travel back in time, but you have to get back before your coffee gets cold. Book 24 is How We Disappeared by Jingjing Li, and this is set in Singapore in 1942 and kind of looks at the experience of what happened when Japanese troops came into Malaysia and into Singapore and what happened to the people there, and it also kind of has a more modern day perspective as well when someone's finding out something about their grandma. So I think those are kind of the 2 perspectives that we're following and uncovering what happened. Hopefully the camera angle hasn't changed too much, but my camera battery just died and had to be replaced. So we're back again. And book 25 is The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, and this is kind of a series of letters, I believe, sent from kind of a senior demon or tempter to kind of a junior tempter, demon, whatever you want to call it, and kind of explores temptation and evil and resisting those things. Book 26 is Look Both Ways by Linwood Barclay, and Linwood Barclay is just kind of a mystery thriller writer that I just really enjoy his books. And this is his latest release and kind of covers autonomous cars when they then turn on people and start hunting people, which sounds interesting. Book 27 is The Confession Room by Leah Middleton, and I actually just finished Leah Middleton's second book, Your Word or Mine, and loved it. Both of her previous books have been 5 stars, so I'm so excited for this new one. and from what I know, it's like an online forum where people come to confess different things until someone starts confessing to murder. Book 28 is Long Way Gone by Charles Martin, and this is a Christian fiction book which is a kind of modern take on the parable of the prodigal son. Book 29 is The Courage Tree by Diane Chamberlain, who is again one of my favourite authors, and this is a book about a young girl who goes missing from a camping trip, but she has a rare disease which means she needs to be found as quickly as possible. And book 30, I figured as we started with Abby Halberstadt, we would end with Abby Halberstadt too. So this is her second book, Hard is Not the Same Thing as Bad, which is coming out in September 2023. And this book is again about parenting and a Christian motherhood, and I believe it's about just taking a different perspective in our approach to motherhood. And if you've seen many of my previous videos, you'll know that hard is not the same thing as bad is a phrase that I love to use, and it just really helps me personally. I think it's so helpful. And that was a lot of books. That was 30 books that I want to read before I turn 30. So I didn't speak for too long about those. That was pretty snappy. But if you'd like to find out more about any of them, they will be linked down in the description for you to find out more or buy them for yourselves. And do let me know down in the comments, did any of these catch your eyes? Do you think you might try them out? Or were any of these already your favourites, and what did you think about them? But we hope you enjoyed this video and found it interesting. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me and Arnold. We share videos every Saturday encouraging Christian families to pray with confidence and creativity. And we talk about all things prayer, exploring the Bible, living out our faith, Christian motherhood, all of the things. And if you enjoy videos about goals and different challenges, do check out my video all about my 2023 goals and challenges, which is linked here. And we will see you very soon for a new video. Bye!